A lot of manufacturers are turning a bit on the softer side, giving cars which are very good for the city. But what if you're a person who wants to go a bit off the road, have a little fun around such silly trails, and still have a car which is reliable enough to take all the beating? Hello everyone, my name is Ishan and welcome to the Race Monkey. I have our family car of the year for 2022, the Jeep Meridian. Now it is pretty well loaded with this Overland variant that we've gotten for ourselves, and I've been driving this car for the last 1 week. I've covered about 1500 kilometers, and this genuinely is one of the most impressive cars in Jeep's portfolio. Still gets the same 2-liter diesel engine which has been going on since the FCA generations with the BS6 2.0, but in addition it now gets the ADAS function and a few other things which we will talk about in this video. So without further ado, let's get on the road and talk to you why does the Jeep Meridian still make a lot of sense for the Indian market, even though it doesn't have a hybrid or a powerful petrol engine. So what all has changed in the Jeep Meridian in the last 3 years ever since it came into the Indian market? Absolutely nothing. The only thing which Jeep has added now are these radar sensors for the ADAS package that it now comes with. And this is the ADAS which is completely non-intrusive. But as you come to the side, in this Overland version, you get these 18-inch alloy wheels fitted to 255, 55 tires from Bridgestone. They have quite a lot of grip, does the job really well. And from the side, nothing has changed much except for those alloy wheel designs. It still looks exactly the same as how it was, and that works perfectly fine in Meridian's case because it was a handsome looking car. It is a handsome looking SUV still. You've got these long doors at the back which helps ingress and egress for passengers. Quite a lot of space to get in and out of the car. Very well engineered indeed. You've got big DLO area, massive ground clearance as well, and this articulation space that you get in the wheel wells is also pretty brilliant, and it's exceptionally good while you're doing off-road trails, especially how we've been trying out in the last few hours. Now, as you come to the back of the car, again, nothing has changed. The design looks exactly the same. You still get the Overland badge telling you that this is the top of the line car and it is about 2 lakh rupees more expensive than the Limited. And that's about it. The design has not changed. The Meridian still looks as handsome as it was, and that works perfectly fine for this car because it just is so brilliant. A mild facelift with a few light changes and other things would have been pretty good, but I don't think so it's needed in today's time and age, especially how Meridian has been designed overall. Now the brand Jeep resonates with off-roadability, and the Meridian does that job really well. Take it on any rough road, off-road situation and you will be out with no issues whatsoever. But what impressed me the most is how it behaves on the highway. Out on the highway, the Jeep Meridian feels pretty smooth to drive. Now this is the same engine derived from the FCA platform, which is doing duty on the Compass, does duty on the Meridian still, and this 2-liter diesel engine is pretty good, especially when it's mated to this nice and smooth 9-speed gearbox that Jeep has fitted the Meridian with. Now, in the other cars that get this engine, it's usually fitted with a 6-speed Hyundai derived gearbox, which is also smooth, but extra ratios on the overdrive gives you the liberty to really go the long distance without much fuss. Now this car is really smooth. I'm doing about 88 kilometers an hour on the cruise control, and the engine is steaming at about 1600 rpm, working on the 8th gear. I've not even switched to the 9th ratio, which would be very good if you're doing triple digit speeds on expressways. Now with that kind of speed, I'm getting a fuel economy figure of close to 20 to 21 kilometers per liter, which is honestly quite staggering considering this car has 7 seats, has an all-time four-wheel drive system, and is built really very well. The air conditioning is on. We've switched to 20 degrees Celsius on the climate control. It just works very well. Now, another thing which impresses me a lot is the ride quality. Although this might not be the smoothest, you would get a better ride quality in the car which is no more acceptable in the Indian market, that is the Citroen C5 Aircross. It's gotten a little old, hasn't it? But it just feels right. You barely feel any potholes. There is minimum amount of movement in the dampers. The spring rate is also very, very good. Every time you go over a hump, especially on a highway where you're doing long distance trips and there is a bit of a jump, it contains and absorbs that rebound really well. Another thing which impresses a lot is this sound insulation. Now, this car is running on an old technology diesel engine. This, although has been tuned to BS 6 2.0 norms, it's still a bit louder as a diesel engine. The Korean manufacturers are doing slightly better in terms of how smooth the engines could be in the diesel powertrain. But the way the sound insulation has been done, be it on the door card, in the firewall between the cabin and the engine, and the overall acoustics in the car as well, are very well engineered. You barely hear anything from the outside. There might be heavy traffic going the way, people would be honking behind you, but you would not be bothered much, and that is a very impressive thing for the Meridian. So, as a long distance highway cruiser, the Meridian makes quite a lot of sense, and especially in this overland trim where you get a lot of nice touching materials all around, the leathers, the suede, and you get all the bells and whistles that are possible in the Meridian. This is quite a brilliant car. It just does justice to the price tag. 38.9 lakh rupees ex-showroom for this top-of-the-line 4x4 Overland. Quite justified. Pretty justified. Now, I can keep going on with my love for the Meridian because it drives really well on the highway and the experience has been exceptionally good. But what really matters for most of the times is how you feel when you're in the inside. Here on the inside of the Meridian Overland, things are properly opulent and well put together. Now, I've always been a huge fan of this interior, and in this Overland variant, Jeep has thrown in all the bells and whistles and the best quality materials you could find under 50 lakh rupees. Now, the thing that gets your attention instantly if you're a material magnet is this suede covering on the dashboard. Now, it runs all across the dashboard. It's got this soft touch. It's also very easy to clean if you have a vacuum cleaner at home. And you get this contrast stitching, which is closer to this copperish golden insert that you have running all across the dashboard as well. You've got these copper golden inserts running through the air conditioning vents. You get soft touch rubbery plastic on top, which is very good in terms of quality. The fit and finish of everything is top notch, and what I'm hugely glad of that Jeep has retained physical buttons which you can use while wearing thick gloves as well. You get physical buttons for your automatic start stop, your traction control, your lane keeping assist, which is now a part of the ADAS suite that can be completely switched off at a press of a button. You have proper physical buttons for your climate control system. You've got a rotor dial to take your fan speed up and down. You get proper rotor dials for your media controls as well, and you have proper physical buttons for your air conditioning vents shut off. Now, these air conditioning vents are positioned really logically and well engineered for it to throw good amount of air onto the passengers and the driver. The way everything is laid out, especially in terms of ergonomics, is top class. The touchscreen infotainment is crisp. Everything that you use is great. You've got tons and tons of data online On this touchscreen infotainment, you've got your off-road buttons over here with your 4x4 low switch, your hill descent control, cruise control as well, and you get a 4-wheel drive lock button as well. Electronic parking brake over here. You've got 2 cup holders, massive cubby space over here where you can keep a water bottle or a lot of peripherals. You get a wireless charger over here. Everything in this cabin is top class in terms of quality, fit and finish, ergonomics. Things are logically laid out, and it's a win-win situation for Jeep and for the people who are going to use it for long distances. So that is insane. But what the Jeep Meridian has better than the Compass is what's at the back. So let's go there. Now, this could also be the business end of the Meridian because this back seat is properly loaded and spacious as well. I'm 5 feet 8 inches tall. I've got good amount of knee room, good amount of headroom as well. The seat recline angle is also very logically engineered. You've got a central armrest which is wide enough, has 2 cup holders and a place to keep your mobile phone. Everything that you touch and feel is high quality. You've got a massive window area which filters in light. You've got this massive panoramic sunroof which filters in more light. You've got a USB-A charging, which somehow is a little on the older side. Could have given a USB-C charger, but you've got a USB-C charger in the front. 2 AC vents over here, and the seats can also recline a little bit for extra comfort. The back seat situation is pretty good, but what if you're carrying 2 extra passengers or kids on a longer trip? While we go out, do an easy tumble of these seats, and this is where it outdoes the Jeep Compass. Now, these seats are not very comfortable for long distances, especially if you're carrying adults, but for shorter distances, adults can do really well over here. You've got good enough space for kids till the age of 10, 11, and the seat is a little on the lower side. You do sit a little knees up. 2 cup holders over here. You've got a separate AC vent with air conditioning controls over here for the rear passengers, and the seat can recline quite a bit, making it a much more comfortable experience. So it's a win-win situation in terms of packaging for the Jeep Meridian.
So the Meridian Overland is more than what meets the eye. It's a properly equipped family SUV which is also very efficient on the highway. We were able to achieve upwards of 20 kmpl on the highway. And with the full ADAS suite including adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist, it makes life much easier while doing those trips. Now, the boot with the third row down is a healthy 481 liters, capable of taking away large suitcases for 5 people on a long trip. If you add a 5th or a 6th passenger on board, you still have good enough boot space. But, and there's a big but, if you are planning to use all 7 seats, make sure you're traveling light or traveling short distances because there is hardly any boot space, 148 liters to be precise. The rear doors open quite wide, almost 90 degrees, which help ingress and egress, especially for the elderly passengers.
So what's my final verdict on the Meridian? This is the best package that you can get under 50 lakh rupees. It's got the best of 3 worlds. It is powerful enough and efficient enough in terms of its mechanicals that it can do long distance trips without stopping over for fuel and without being sluggish. That 2-liter diesel engine works cohesively with the 9-speed gearbox, and it is just so brilliant. Number 3 is that it is packaged really well. It's got the ADAS suite, the interiors are properly loaded, ventilated seats to keep you cool during the hot summer months, and the interiors are pretty comfortable for a family of 5 adults and 2 kids. And third is the peace of mind. I have done quite a lot of customer satisfaction index around Jeep owners in the last 2 years, and Jeep as a brand has come out to be one of the most satisfactory in terms of its after sales and ownership feedback. the customers really vouch for the brand and the product on long-term ownership basis. So it now becomes quite a compelling package, as Jeep has now made the Meridian more accessible at 24.99 lakh rupees for the base model longitude with 4x2 and a manual gearbox. It only gets 5 seats, not the 7 seats, but the accessibility to this large SUV, which can do some silly off-roady stuff, is now better. This particular one is at 38.9 lakh rupees ex showroom. In Delhi, it costs around 44 lakh rupees on road. And for that price tag, and that being about 7.5, 8 lakh rupees cheaper than the equivalent Toyota Fortuner and about 20 lakhs cheaper than its direct competitor, the Mercedes Benz GLB. The Meridian is a win-win situation for this market. And I've been loving to drive this car ever since I first got my hands on it, and I love it still. I'm Ishan Bhardwaj. You've been watching The Race Monkey. Do wear your seatbelts and your helmets while you're out on the road. Goodbye.